Hi, it's Lorna Rasmussen here. Are there things you're afraid of? I have a friend who's afraid of snakes, deathly afraid of snakes. She can't even look at pictures of them. I probably, if I saw a big spider, would be running out of the room screaming. But that's not the kind of fears I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fears that hold you back. I'll tell you a quick story about my fears and how I overcame them. I had been in sales for about a year, and I was told that if I went and did presentations, not one on one, which I was very comfortable doing, but did them in a group, that I probably would have more success and I'd make a lot more money. So I booked an appointment to go in and see 12 people in an office. And then the fear set in. And as I was learning the presentation, and I was starting to do a pretty good job at learning the presentation, I got more and more frightened. In fact, to the point where I started thinking about how I could have an accident on the way to the presentation that would hurt me enough, not hurt me really, but hurt me enough that I didn't have to do the presentation. In other words, I was so scared that I wanted something to happen to kind of transport me out of that situation. Well, I must have said something to my husband because he insisted on driving me to the presentation. And I can remember getting out of the car and my whole body was just heavy with fear. And I walked in and I'd made some small talk with people and I got up and I did that presentation. And yes, I made a couple of sales, but that wasn't the important thing that happened. The important thing that happened was by taking action, I actually got over that fear. It wasn't instantaneous. I had to do it a couple more times, but each time I did it, the sphere of fear around me got bigger and bigger. And I felt less and less fearful as I got up to the point where I went from 12 people to actually enjoying getting up on a stage where there were 15,000 people. Now, what did I do? What I did is I felt the fear, but I did it anyway. And that's the title of a great book by Susan Jeffers that I highly recommend. I read it, got some great pointers from it. It's still in print, so you can get it. But by doing that, what I was doing and what I was experiencing was a process whereby we don't overcome fears by thinking our way through it. We overcome fears by doing our way out of it. And the more you do something, the more you step up to those fears, the more courage you have. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. People who are courageous are not doing something they're not afraid of. They're doing something they are afraid of. But they're feeling that fear and they're doing it anyway. And I want to encourage you to do just that. Make a list of the things you're fearful of. It could be something as simple as talking to strangers, or maybe leaving your job, or it could be something tiny like asking somebody for money, or just any list of things that are that make you fearful and you feel might be holding you back. If you've got a job, it may be asking for a raise. Take those things and then go and do some of them. I had a friend who who had a real fear of going and talking to strangers. And so he decided that anytime he was in a fast food place for lunch, he would stand at the door and he'd say something to this effect: Ben does something that he's fearful of every day. And the thing he was fearful of was sitting and talking to a stranger. So he'd walk up to somebody sitting and having lunch and ask, "May I have lunch with you?" And that's how Ben opened up his sphere of fear to grow it, to become more effective in what he was doing, and to be more successful. I hope that you'll do the same for yourself.